So it looks as though 5 people were arrested in London trying to disrupt Gal Gadot filming a movie. And also we have this story here that shows that Gal Gadot's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame was vandalized. And she just got that star, I believe, a month ago. And I find it very interesting because Gal Gadot has in many ways become the face of this conflict in Hollywood, which runs contrary to her normally very unproblematic personality. She's always been a very magnanimous, she's taken a very magnanimous approach to filmmaking. She feels like one of those people that manages to be very statesmanlike in their conduct, how they conduct their interviews. You know, there aren't a whole lot of awful sound bites of Gal Gadot out there, kind of not ingratiating herself to the fans in that way. And the issue itself is very interesting because it's a microcosm of deeper issues in Hollywood. We're going to look at this here, but we're also going to look at these articles here. I found these 2 separate kind of open letters that were written by different groups in Hollywood, one of which was a group of 400 Hollywood figures who signed a letter to put an end to anti-Israel rhetoric after the Israeli embassy staffers were shot and killed. And then also the Dua Lipa, Benedict Cumberbatch join entertainment elites scolding the UK for supporting Israel. So for the first time, it feels like Hollywood as an industry has one specific issue where they ideologically fall on opposite sides and they don't just shun and push everyone out. Because with issues of the past, most of Hollywood, they are liberal progressives, leftists, and they hold those views and they assign a certain level of moral superiority to those views, and they tend to view very poorly at people who don't support those views. And that has gotten much, much more pronounced since 2016, since the election of Donald Trump. You know, artists, creatives have always been left-leaning. It's understandable in a lot of ways. I think their desire to seek, to empathize and try to put themselves in the shoes of a character uniquely makes them qualified to feel emotion in a way that puts them on a path towards hating the idea of someone being oppressed or held down. But it doesn't in the same way allow them to put themselves in the shoes of somebody they may disagree with in the real world. They may be able to do that with villainous characters, but they don't seem to be capable of doing that with people that they disagree with in the real world, rather most of the time tending to see them as others and othering them in society. And they have a unique hatred for the idea of America first in Trump. But when it comes to Israel-Palestine, it seems to be the first time that they're split on an issue. Because, like, say when it came to Russia and Ukraine, there was a very clear idea to them who was the aggressor because it was Putin that invaded Ukraine. And they don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of everything that's happened between Russia and Ukraine in their history. They see it as a very simple story, and they fell on lines that you can predictably believe. They saw Ukraine as the oppressed group, so they sided with the Ukraine. But when it comes to Israel-Palestine, there is a very, very muddled idea of what this all means to different groups of people, given the fact that it was Hamas that did October 7th, and then there was the disproportionate, or what they believe to be the disproportionate response from Israel over the last year now. So, and you take into account that Hollywood has a large overrepresentation of Jewish performers, executives, directors. The Jewish community is very prevalent in Hollywood. So you get the young stars and the celebrities who see what is happening in Palestine and they feel for them. And then you get the actors and the directors and the producers of Jewish descent who see what's going on and they side with their heritage. And it's the first time I feel as if they've had to take a macro perspective on an issue rather than all falling in line on one issue, all the same way. And Gal Gadot, despite the fact that she is so magnanimous and seems to be such a statesman most of the time when it comes to her interviews and her promotion, she has become the face of Israel in a lot of ways. So I saw this story where they say that Gal Gadot's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame was vandalized. I looked up the picture. I saw multiple posts of it on X. So the first question I asked was like, was it even real at first? You know, sometimes these things get posted. Hoaxes happen all the time. It does look as if this happened, and it happened just recently. And she only got that star about a month ago, if I remember correctly. It says on Wednesday, London's Metropolitan Police also arrested 5 pro-Palestinian protesters for targeting the filming of Gal Gadot's new movie, per the Jerusalem Post previously reported. The Met claimed that the protesters were targeting the film The Runner solely because the actress involved in the production is Israeli. I also think the movie is about World War II, if I remember correctly. Similarly, last week, pro-Palestinian protesters disrupted Gadot's movie set. According to the Daily Mail, she was escorted from the set as protesters waved flags saying, "Stop bombing Palestine." So you have the image of what they did. It says, Israel snipers target children. They wrote "baby killer" on her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And then you, of course, saw this about the 5 arrested in London. Here were the protesters outside of the event. Say, UK, stop arming Israel, stop the Gaza genocide. So this falls in line with the celebrities like Dua Lipa, who signed the open letter to the British government. This was from the AFP. Said it called for the Labour Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, to end the UK's complicity in the horrors in Gaza. British Albanian pop star Dua Lipa has previously been vocal about the war in Gaza last year, criticizing Israel's response to the October 2023 Hamas terrorist attacks, labeling it a genocide. Now she has company. Other signatories include Benedict Cumberbatch, Tilda Swinton, Riz Ahmed, and musicians Paloma Faith, Annie Lennox, and Massive Attack. "You can't call it intolerable and keep sending arms," read the letter to Starmer, organized by Choose Love, a UK-based charity. So they have their opinion, and then you come over here to what Jerry O'Connell, Juliana Margulies, and 400 other celebrities signed for anti-Israel rhetoric to be brought to an end following the killing of the embassy staffers here in the U.S. It was released by a non-profit creative community for peace on Wednesday. The letter came in response to the killing of 2 Israeli embassy officers at the Capitol Jewish Museum shooting in Washington, D.C. While it's acknowledged that well-meaning celebrities and public figures who sympathize with Palestinians, the signatories felt that they were manipulated by misinformation. So this is kind of... it's indicative of what has been said for ages about people with, oddly enough, giving them none of the leeway they feel about American citizens. They think American citizens are stupid, and Americans that vote differently than them, people who vote some way other than Democrat, are stupid and just don't understand how they've been hoodwinked by everybody. So the question is, like, what do actors like this do? Like, Hollywood is at war with itself in this weird way because they obsess over the idea of oppression and identity. And in this instance, oppression and identity run headlong because people see what's happening going on in Gaza as oppression, but it comes headlong against identity given the strong amount of Jewish celebrities in Hollywood. So 2 of their biggest forms of wedge issues and identity are coming face to face, and they don't know how to deal with it because they aren't able to other people the way they have done in the past, especially with Americans when it comes to people who see the world differently than them, people who vote differently than them. It's very weird to me. Gal Gadot becoming the face of it has made a lot of sense in a lot of ways, not because of her speaking out, but because she's had multiple movies in the press, multiple things in the press lately that are connected because Snow White came out, and there was all a torrent of back and forth because Rachel Zegler was despised because of her comments on politics and the way that she felt about the character of Snow White, and then Gal Gadot was hated because she was playing the evil queen, and there was the anti-Israel people that were protesting against her, and it kind of came together as a perfect storm and showed you why that movie failed, because there was no market for it, because the star of the movie, Rachel Zegler, pisses off everyone and then also is in support of Palestine, and then Gal Gadot pisses off a certain segment of the population, but is supporting of Israel. So it couldn't win. There was no winning. So how do they coexist? How are they going to come together on set? I wonder about these things because these are such broad, serious issues that call into question a person's humanity. It's going to be used as a weapon. So if you are a Jewish person and you support Israel, you're not just supportive of Israel, you're a supporter of genocide. If you're somebody who supports the plight of the Palestinian people, you're not just somebody who supports Palestine, you're somebody who supports what happened on October 7th. And there's the death of nuance when it comes to discussing these issues. How does that come together when you're trying to get together and make a movie? Like, it's been discussed millions of times by millions of people, but the ability to make a movie really is this Herculean effort. It takes a lot of work from a lot of very, very talented people and even some luck to pull together a great movie and have it resonate with people. So how do you get these people together to discuss these things when they have such a serious dividing line that calls into question the humanity of the people that question one another? I have no idea. I work in a space that delves heavily into politics. So discussions about stuff like this are usually very nuanced and serious, and people are willing to get together, talk about things, disagree, and continue on because it's a part of the profession. It's part of the job. I may talk about pop culture, but people in this space, they're talking politics. They're talking geopolitics, stuff like that. So how do people in the acting space, people who are, by their own admission, in a lot of ways, very emotional, and seem to resonate severely with the plight of a specific group. How do you resonate specifically with one group but not call into question the humanity of somebody who supports the other side? It seems like a distraction at the very least to me. But let me know down below, how do you feel like this has been for Gal Gadot? Because she is a star who has been consistent over the last several years. I see a lot of people who can't understand why she's famous. She obviously will always be known as Wonder Woman, but she is somebody that, between the Fast and the Furious franchise, Wonder Woman, she's appeared in all sorts of things. She is a household name. She obviously is the type of person who ends up on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, though I do believe they pay for those stars, but they have to qualify. But her face is now the face of this conflict in Hollywood, and there's all of this backlash, there's all of this discontent around what is going on. I would like to know what you guys think about the issue as a whole. Do you think it's weird, like I do, that Hollywood, which usually falls directly in line on all issues, can't agree on this one? It is a very, very interesting case study in how identity politics affect an industry, affect jobs. So let me know down below. If you don't watch, guys, we are Pop Culture Crisis, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon Pacific, right here on YouTube and on Rumble. You should tune in sometime. We have a lot of fun. We just talked today about the upcoming Fantastic Four movie. We're going to be talking tomorrow about Superman. There's all sorts of stuff going on. Check us out live. See you there, guys. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.